Hey, Emily,
Hey, Stephanie.
you want to do a podcast?
Absolutely.
Welcome to Cycle Chats, a podcast to destigmatize what it means to be a woman. This is episode 39, The Power of Fashion, where we are speaking with a woman who's on a mission to create joyful clothing inspired by worldly travels. She's been seen on Project Runway, Vogue, Marie Claire, Cosmopolitan, and Elle magazine, just to name a few. It's clothing designer Sandhya Garg. Welcome so much to this podcast. Thank you so much. Welcome and thank you so much. We're just so excited to have you on. I'm getting my words all tumbled. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. You guys are doing such amazing work. Thank you for making me a part of it.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for saying yes. Like I said before we started recording, I'm a really big fan. So this is a huge honor for me to do this. So my first question always for our guests is, what made you get into this field?
Oh my God, I grew up in India and, as you're growing up, it's so competitive because the population is so high. Your parents keep asking you what you want to be when you grow up. So it was something I wanted to do since I was 8 years old. And I cannot imagine a day when I have not wanted to make clothes and dress women. And honestly, it's just women who inspire me and their spirit and, just everything about them. So I've been wanting to do this since I was 8, and I started off by making clothes for my doll. So I had this one Barbie doll, but she had a massive wardrobe. So I would get tits and bits of fabric from tailoring shops, and I would make them into this Bollywood inspired clothing because that was big, that is still big in India. And it just grew and kept growing from there.
Oh, I actually collect Barbies and I have a whole collection packed away in my closet, but I don't have a Bollywood Barbie. So you just got me the wheels spinning up here. I'm like, wait, I'm missing one from my collection.
There might be a Bollywood Barbie. I'm not sure, but
they're being a lot more inclusive now with Barbie, which is really nice to see because for a while it was very whitewashed. And I was like, okay, great that this is something for me, but what about my friends who don't have representation? So they are starting to get with the times, which is good.
Also they want to sell more. So
yeah, hello, there you go. That's really the main. We can be like kumbaya about it, but at the end of the day, Barbie's like, whoa, hold on now. Let's check this bank account.
And not only whitewashed Barbies, but Barbies that didn't eat anything.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now they're showing at least dolls that are more accurate to what a woman's body looks like. I mean, it would be insane if a woman actually had the measurements of what a Barbie doll is. They've
done markups, like visual markup of what it would actually look like to have those proportions. And they're like, this is not humanly possible.
They would tip over, I think, is what they came to the conclusion of. I mean, hello, way to send us a wrong message.
Even with models, when we draw fashion illustrations, I think 9 head or 10 head is the idealized fashion proportion, but even models are rarely, that proportion.
How does that translate for you? Because since we are talking about proportions, when you're drawing, your style of drawing, you obviously have a vision. And then when you put the vision on the person, do you find that your ideas have to shift a little bit in that process of from paper to person?
So honestly, when I did my education and when I was working, inclusivity was not nobody was having that conversation, and everybody would be like, yes, it looks good on a runway, it looks good on those models because they're thin and tall, but I'm this real woman who has kids, or even if I don't have kids, my body does not look like that. So there was always this thought process that these clothes, fashion, was not for everyone. And now, thanks to this whole conversation of inclusivity, now, and also the way I design, I'm not designing for models, I am designing for real women. So now when I start drawing and when I go to the drawing board, or even, when I started my brand, I was always just thinking about real women because I didn't have a body like a model, I had a very regular, medium, large kind of a body. So I was like, I have to design for a real person. And of course, models are real people too. But at the same time, everybody needs to feel real represented and everybody needs to have joyful clothing.
That's beautiful. That's the interview. Thanks, guys, for coming.
What I loved so much in your season of Project Runway, they kind of showed you guys auditioning for the process. And I remember you came in and that line that you were showing them was more about kind of destigmatizing what it means to be a woman in India. So you were using the culture that these women were coming from as like a starting point to actually be like, wait a minute. Yeah, we may have this, but we have so much more. And I was like, wow, done. I mean, I'm done, because that is just incredible. If we can use these things that are told to us that are maybe negatives or what are seen as negatives as positives and transform that, I just think that's incredible. And that's the power that you created with that line. So thank you for that, because I think it's really inspiring.
Thank you. I mean, I started off from a point of being inspired from my own aunties. And then I realized, like, no matter what country you go to, what culture you see, women of every country from every cultural background is fighting her own battle. And obviously, like, adding on to what you said, that there are so many things that we think are negatives or taboos or it's something that's wrong with us. Like, my skin color is on the darker side, so it's something that's wrong with me. And then slowly you realize there is nothing right or wrong. It's all in your head, and you can make positives out of anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. And it's so empowering. Like, I was just reading somewhere, probably take the conversation to another level here. So I am a mom of 2 kids, and, parents feel bad when they realize their kids don't have anyone to play with and they have to play by themselves. And then someone said, why do you think it's a bad thing? If the kid is playing by themselves, it's great. It's such a positive, because they learn how to be independent and they're not dependent, upon others for getting that, feeling happy or that gratification. And I thought that was such an amazing thing, because all my life, I tried to look for friends. And if you find friends, great. And I do have a ton of friends, but there will be moments when you won't. And, that is not a negative.
That's really important. And that's a discussion that I've been more recently having with myself, because I was always very connected to my mom at the hip when I was little. And just, I always felt like I had to have friends and I couldn't be alone. And this is my first time in 30 years of being on this earth through therapy and just through self-discovery that I have these moments where I go, I don't want to be around anyone. And I'm totally cool with it. I turn my phone off. I do my own thing, and I'm actually enjoying my own company. And I don't know that as women, that's something that we're taught. And I also feel like on the other side of that, with not even just friends, but like relationships, you're some big failure if you're not married by a certain age and popping out kids. And that's just not true. We have a girlfriend who's traveling around the country in an RV. She just was like deuces, bought an RV and left. And she's traveling with her cat, and that's her family. And like, she's successful and happy with it. I wish we would teach that more as when we're younger, is that it is okay to keep your own company and have your own space with yourself, as well as having friends, but it's not necessary for you to exclusively have one or the other. And it's nice that you're surrounding yourself with people who kind of help you view things a little differently. I think that changes our perspective and inspires us in a different way to like on how we view the world.
Well, at the end of the day, right? It's just you. You have to make decisions for yourself. It is you and you alone. Whether you're in a partnership or not, you still have to show up for yourself. And I think that's really important, that we have a voice and like we have our own identity. Even if we're in a partnership, you're still your own soul person, and you have to do what makes you happy at the end of the day. What are you going to do to move forward in your journey, not just the journey of you as a couple?
No, exactly. And it's wonderful the way you said it. Nothing defines you. You define yourself. And no one moment in your life, no one person can define who you are. You define yourself every day.
Hands down. Well, this is great.
Another quote to get tattooed on your body, Emily.
Yes, this is already great.
Every time we have a guest, Emily's like, I'm going to tattoo it on my body. But she, at this point, is going to be covered head to toe. There will be no skin space.
My mother will be very upset with me. I also have to have the tattoos reversed so that when I look at them in the mirror, they're saying what I need them to say. So it's just going to be a big mishpackle, and I'm not going to, it's just, man, the absolute disappointment my mother will have in me if I do that will just be overwhelming. I can't wait. So this conversation is great, and I'm really looking forward to get into more. So I know you kind of were talking about what inspires your design, but I was just wanting to ask a bit more about like what your thought process is behind these inspirations, where they're coming from, and if you have like a favorite thing that you love to design.
So my husband loves to travel a lot, and I do too, but I do have to, the travel comes with a lot of work. So it's fun. We do travel a lot, and every place I go to, it's just, there's so much to see: the architecture, the colors, the cuisine, the stories. So that inspires me a lot. And I haven't really been able to travel a lot because of COVID. So then, I revisit the times when I did travel and I did not, tell that story, or I revisit these women or these crafts and cultures or art moments that have inspired me in the past, but I haven't been, able to present them in my way. So there is just so much to get inspired from. Like the recent collection that I've done is from Art Nouveau, Gaudi. Gaudi was this famous, is rather, like, he's not alive anymore, but his work is in Barcelona. And I don't know if you guys have heard about him. He, oh my God, like the most beautiful work of art. His architecture is amazing. He's got Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. There's Casa Batlló. His architecture is like aliens. It's like, aliens came from some other galaxy and designed that building.
I'm very familiar with this. I just looked it up. Yes, I know what this is. It's to think of when he started designing that and like where he was. How did he come up with it?
So modern. Like if you look at it now, it still looks so modern. And it's about 150, 200 years old, if I'm not wrong. It's like really old, and he was so ahead of his game. Sagrada Familia is still getting constructed because it was such a massive project. They're still accepting donations, and they're making this huge church. It's absolutely out of this world. And the mosaics, and just there is so much. Then Art Deco is another art period that I really loved. I ended up living in Detroit for a year, and I was in downtown, and I was surrounded by these Art Deco buildings that were melting down. So I had the honor or the opportunity to go see them, to see the Art Deco where it really, kind of started in America. So one of the collections was kind of called Deco Detroit, inspired from, Art Deco and the whole, that side of American Art Deco movement. It's just, you find inspiration everywhere. And India has so much to get inspired from. I grew up in India. I had the opportunity to travel around a lot. So there's so much to see. So I'm wearing a collection from one of my collections, this top. It's called Samo. It's actually a hand-painted full mural art mansion in Jaipur, Rajasthan, close to Jaipur, Rajasthan. And every wall is painted and there's mirror work. It's just beautiful. So just being inspired from that and, doing the paintings. I make my own fabrics. So all the textile is original, all the print is original. So I make all that print from my inspirations. Then I get the textiles made. So it's I don't even know where to start or end. It's just, there's so much to get inspired from.
Oh, that's super cool.
That's a great outlook to have, because then everything can be exciting. Everywhere you look is a new inspiration. And I think that's just a really nice mindset to have, because so much is gloom and doom a lot of the time, that to look at something and be like, oh, that leaf is fantastic. There's something about that sparkly lifestyle that I like, not the toxic positivity side, but just the finding like the wonderment in the life that we have to live is kind of how I like to and choose to live my life, I think.
Oh, exactly. It's just like my husband is very scientific, and we realize that art fulfills you, even poetry for that matter. So when you feel like, when you're looking for answers on why, or you just don't feel happy, sometimes just looking into art or looking at nature or looking at somebody else's words kind of makes you feel happy, and you find some answers there.
Yeah, you find that connection. I know for me, that's music. When I'm really feeling some type of way, I'll put a song on and I'm like, this is the emotion that I'm looking for. Because sometimes you don't have the words for it, but those things, art in general, I find is a definition to an expression that you can't put words to. And you're like able to show it to someone and have them understand what you're feeling or what you're going through. Now they're going to have a different interpretation slightly of it, but they'll get the overall like arcing feeling of it. And that is what I think is so cool about art.
You can like kind of express your emotions and kind of understand yourself, because we are such complex beings. Like as human beings, we are so complicated. I don't think all of us even understand ourselves or what we are capable of. So I think art is a way, or fashion is a way to kind of understand ourselves and show the world and connect with others with it.
Well, I mean, and fashion, I think, is just so. I went to makeup school and we took a fashion. It was like one of the part of the program was fashion, and you had to design a makeup look based on a certain designer's outfits. And I just remember like, it was like a door had opened and I was always so focused on makeup, and then I didn't really think twice about what I wore because I was always like trying to wear things that I think other people would like, but something unlocks in you when you put on a piece or you like style yourself in a way that feels authentic to you. All of a sudden I was like, who is this woman? Like I just became this different person. But also through this class, learning how to design makeup with fashion it was like a transformation. And I remember thanking the teacher. I wrote her a really nice note at the end and I was like, I never even thought twice about fashion. And now this world has been introduced to me and I'm starting to like look at different textiles and trying to like, what's the story that the artist was going for? Like, I just would look at a skirt and be like, it's a skirt. But now I go, wait, from this collection, what were they trying to express? What was the idea behind it? And so it's kind of become this almost like not a game, but like you're looking at this piece and it has become art. It's like a painting now. And so I think that is very true that it's expression of the soul is what I'd like to think. And that kind of leads me to our question, because we're talking about our experiences with fashion, with art, design. Project Runway, you knew it was coming. What was your experience like doing a show like that?
So I was completely fresh off the boat when I did Project Runway. I was naive. I was, just so confident. But it was a super, super fun experience, to be honest. And I'm so glad. Like, I had no idea of the American culture or even the language. Like, my words are way different. And they were completely different back then from what is your, regular conversation. So it was an incredible experience, such an honor to be around such high achieved people. And it was just so fun. At the end of the day, it was so fun to do the show. And now thinking back to it, I would just go back, do it again in a heartbeat and, be in the top again. So I'm like, yes, let's do this again, because it's such an adrenaline rush to be able to do so much work under pressure. And then there is such a big team, trying to do those fashion shows to, get it out there. You're not just doing your work for nothing. You are kind of putting it on TV in front of so many people. So it's just amazing. It's so much fun.
It's also
That's
probably,
awesome.
yeah. I mean, I could imagine being around, Steph and I were both actors and are actors, but being in a room of people that share this general interest with you already makes you feel so at home. So I'm imagining that to be a similar experience on Project Runway, where you all are designers and have different opinions and different viewpoints and different collections and ways of putting clothes on women. And I just imagine it to feel like home because you're all in love with this same thing. So you want to see the other person achieve greatness because you want to achieve greatness and they're inspiring and then you're inspiring them. And it's just like this amazing, I don't know, like crock pot of inspiration.
It's just incredible. Honestly, everybody, like the people, like Sean was from New Zealand and there were people from, Amy was from Hawaii during my season. So it's just amazing. And everybody comes from their own experiences. It's just incredible amount of fun. Of course, there are moments when people don't get along, but when you look back at it, it's just funny. It's so funny. And then you just realize it's such a special experience, such a roller coaster ride. And I'm so sure any one of us would just do it again because it's so much fun to do the show. So yeah, yes, it is inspiring because you see people creating these amazing looks in like 10 hours. or less.
Well, that's what I was going to say is the amount that you are able to create in such a short time. I work very well under pressure. So there's something about that that's extremely appealing to me because you're forced to like think on your feet in that moment. You can't second guess yourself because you don't really have the time to. So you have to almost like trust your intuition and your gut and like your skill set. You just kind of have to go with it, which I think is kind of fun.
You have to commit and make it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
There
You're
is
like,
no
okay, this is
time
it.
to toss things out and like restart or whatever. So you literally have to make it work.
I think that's awesome. Oh, I'm jealous. I wish I could just be a fly on the wall for that show and other creative shows. Those are my favorite ones to watch because there's something about just watching creative people work that gets me inspired.
My kid was watching that, is it Cake or Not?
Oh,
show.
Yes. Oh my God. It's so good. It's a great show.
And he's 5. He loved it. He's like, oh my God, I want to watch it. And like just guessing if it's cake or not. It was crazy. He had such a fun.
It's so good. Some of those people are so crazy good. I'm like, oh my God, how do you get, I don't even know how you get so good at that. My patience would wear out. I would be done.
I can't even imagine the skill needed to do that kind of work. People are so talented, like just so humbled by so much talent in this world.
I think that's what makes it so special is that we all have these unique experiences that are leading us down our own path. And that's amazing. Like there's a ton of other podcasts. I think there's 2.2 million podcasts at this time, which is crazy, but nobody else is Stephanie and I. Nobody else has our voice or our unique growing up and our stories and our background. And I think that is what makes each individual podcast special. I think that's the cool part about it.
Exactly. And people, like everybody's wants to connect in their own way. And there is a customer or there is a viewer for everyone.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Agreed.
So we talked about Project Runway. So I'll kind of get off that train, but I want to know, because I know I have my own personal opinion, but I want to know your opinion of like, what is the power of clothes?
Like you were just saying right now that I wore that look with fashion and with makeup and I felt amazing. And who's this girl? So that is the power of fashion. I really don't think the power of fashion is in wearing a Prada or Balenciaga, but the way, whatever you are wearing, how it makes you feel, how true to your own style, your own personality, the fashion is. To me, fashion is not about who you are wearing but what it makes you feel like. And I know women, when you are wearing a certain dress or a certain top, how happy that makes you feel, how confident that makes you feel is what makes your day.
I have always said you can tell when someone is dressing for themselves and when they're dressing for other people. It's so obvious. And I think it's really important to get in tune with what makes you feel good because it could be maybe an outfit that I wouldn't wear, but if someone else is wearing it and you can tell that they're confident in it, then they've achieved their goal. And I've gotten that a few times because I like to do the harnesses and the chains. And there's like just certain things to add structure to my outfits that I like to wear that isn't everyone's taste. And I've had people come up to me and say, I could never wear that, but I can tell you're comfortable in it. And I'm like, thank you. That is such a compliment because it's true. If you're feeling good in it and it's not wearing you and you're not like, that shows. And it does shift the way that you present yourself in the world. So I think it's extremely powerful.
Yeah. I mean, the other day you came over and wore my pink dress that I got for my brother's engagement party all those years ago. And you were like, this is fantastic. And just the way you were moving in it. You were like, this dress, my goodness. I was like, I know there's something about it. It's like a wrap dress. So it kind of opens a little bit so you can kind of see your girl if you really want to. And Stephanie was like, ooh, this is fancy. I was like, I know it is. It makes you feel a little mischievous. You just move your leg one way and peekaboo.
No. And definitely, I mean, it's like, what you are, who you are is, what you eat. So it's what you wear is who you are. The way you dress can tell people who you are and kind of connect you with your friends or whoever you want to connect with, or just have those conversations or not have any conversations. It's how you portray yourself and nobody can read your mind. but they can see what you're wearing. And if there is someone wearing these, bright colors and just, moving around, that person is kind of fun. And then, people who are into gothic fashion have their own look, and there are no rights or wrongs or goods or bads, everybody should do their own thing. And if you own it, that's all that's needed.
Yeah, I think fashion is very subjective. And I oftentimes find that when something becomes really trendy, people want to go for it. And I think it's great, but sometimes there was a quote that I heard from someone that said trends are for the anxious. So like people that always want to be like on top of things and be accepted and wanted. And I was like, that's interesting. Because I do think sometimes you'll find, especially with young girls, I've noticed when something becomes trendy, you'll see all of them wearing it, but very rarely will you see all of them comfortable in it. And Emily and I we taught students for many years. Emily still does, but I would notice that some of these girls would be very visibly uncomfortable in what they were wearing. And I'm like, well, what do you want to wear? They're like, well, like baggy clothes. That's not fashionable. I said, who cares? I used to wear sweatshirts, which is hysterical because now I'm right on trend, but I've always been dressing like this. And then everyone thinks I'm a child. They're like, are you excited for school? I'm like, I'm 30. I've graduated. It's having those conversations to say, well, what do you want to wear? And like, what's stopping you from doing that? Because the truth is you could be the trendsetter by just being comfortable in what you put on your body. And I think that's really important for young women to understand is that you don't always have to keep up with what's in the magazines or what's on social media, what's on TV, what the celebrities are wearing. It's good to be intrigued by it, but try to make it your own and try to make it tailored to how you feel and what's going to make you confident. And if that means you don't want to wear the crop top, but maybe you want to try it, but you want it to be baggier, then do it, create it, put it on, see how it makes you feel, walk around in it. If you don't like it, take it off, try something else. I mean, and it's the same thing with makeup. If you don't like the way you look, it's just makeup. You can take it off. You can change it. There's so much creativity with it. It's not permanent. So you don't have to be stuck in that state of like, I have to be this one way. You can experiment with it until it feels right to you.
Exactly. And I think also that's part of growing up. You kind of make these mistakes and then you kind of realize at a certain point that, this is not who I am and this is who I am. And that is because you've tried all these different things and you finally know who you are. And that is the fun of being alive. It's you just keep discovering yourself. And today I'm wearing dresses and tomorrow maybe I want to be all grungy and, have like leather jackets. And I do that too. I have my phases. So why not?
Oh yeah.
And that goes back to, you define yourself every day. Nothing is stopping you.
What I love too is that if we had 20 women and if we all went into the same store and we all picked out the same thing, well, the way we wear that one thing is going to be extremely different on everybody because every body is different, but everybody has a different way of accessorizing it. What's going to make them feel confident and comfortable. And that's a really cool thing to also see. Like Steph and I wear a lot of the same clothes sometimes because we try and show our merch and, represent, but the way she wears something is so different than the way that I wear something. The way I show up is so different in my clothes than the way Stephanie shows up. And that's the cool part about just being an individual person. You get to kind of choose and pick like, oh, I really like big flashy earrings. Great. Pair it with that and see what happens. Like that's just the fun of fashion. And when I was growing up, because I have two older brothers, there would be one week that I would wear a dress. And then the next week I would refuse to get in that dress and you could only find me in pants and it would go back and forth. And for a long time of my life, I was like, I'm only wearing pants this week. And then the next week would be, I'm only wearing dresses. That's just what I did until I kind of found my thing. And it's wavered a little bit because of COVID. I'm more like couch potato style, but you know what? It's all good. I don't mind. It makes me comfy, but I definitely know it makes me feel good and what I look good in and what I like to wear and the colors I like to wear and the patterns. Like you give me a colorful polka dot, bye, I'm done. You've got me on the hook. So then I want to know, since we're talking about the power of clothes and women in the clothes and being powerful in them, what does women empowerment mean to you?
Honestly, women empowerment is just, knowing who you are. And even if, just owning who you are, you might, it's not like you have arrived to be empowered. We are all work in progress, but just owning whatever you are, whoever you are and wherever in life you are is empowerment. And, not letting anybody kind of live your life or tell you how to live your life. just having that confidence to be yourself is being empowered. I'm the one driving this car, nobody else is. That's empowerment to me. It is not defined by your career status, your bank status, none of that, but just being in control of yourself.
We were just talking about this because can't even tell you how many times we've had people be like, well, but are you making lots of money? And I'm like, that doesn't equal success or empowerment. Like, I feel very happy with where I'm at. I think too much emphasis is put on the visual of it all. But the truth is, how do you feel on the inside? I know extremely successful people who are multimillionaires, but they're miserable. They have no free time. And they're angry and bitter. And it's like,
what are you going to do with all the millions? It really doesn't matter. Back home, they say, we were all born without clothes. We will die without clothes. You're not taking anything with you. All that matters is how you experience your life and how happy you are. And then, who are we to define anybody else's happiness?
Yeah, very true. Very true.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask my last question of the day. I want to know what advice you would give your 15-year-old self.
I was just so hopelessly confident.
That's amazing. I love that for you.
If you have a recipe for it, yeah, share it.
Oh no, I was just always that way. My mom used to say, I'm like, I think I need some more confidence. And she would be like, I think you need to take it a notch down. So I would say that I just wish, I could continue with that kind of that reckless hope, or, that positive vision, not toxic positivity, but, just the thing that I can do anything or and just go with it. Like, do not question yourself, or do not let other people define you, or just be upset because somebody said something, or you are not size 0 or even a size 2, whatever skin color you are, whatever size you are just perfect. And you are someone, you can make a difference. So just don't let anybody else define you.
Yeah. I think you're the first person that ever was like, I was super confident when I was 15, which I love. But I love what you said, this like reckless hope, right? Like, that's such an amazing thing to think back. Because yeah, when you are 15 and when you're a teenager, you're like, oh, well, I am the center of the universe, right? That's kind of our mindset. So you feel things, or at least I remember feeling things so strongly: heartbreak, love, like all of these emotions that I was first feeling for the first time were so heightened because A, you're 15, your hormones are going crazy, but B, you're just like, you are in it and you really believe that you are the center of your universe. And these things that are happening to you now are the things that are going to affect your life like way later. So I love that you said that, because we haven't heard that answer yet, but it's true. Like, when you're 15, you really, your mindset is a little different than when you're 30, 40, 50. It's totally a different outlook on life.
Yeah. I mean, I think we are a bit broken now from all the hearsay, but we are not that broken at 15, and just, holding on to it, because that's when you kind of start this path of achieving whatever. So just sticking to it and not letting other people put you down is so important.
Not living life with fear. I think that's to me what reckless hope is just not being fearful. And I can even say that for my life now. I think at this point, everyone's probably so very tired of hearing me talk about my anxiety recovery, but I am going through the process of trying to get through generalized anxiety disorder. And one of the biggest things that I've held on to is in really, really heavy moments, it is that, and that's reckless hope. And I always said hope, but I was like, there's something else to it. It's not just like a normal hope. It's something more. And I think thank you, have now just described exactly the feeling that it is. That it's that feeling that I had when I was younger, where I was just, even in the darkest times, I was hopeful in a way that, like, I don't know, I just believed that everything was going to be okay, even if it felt like it wasn't. And that, I think, is important for people to remember, and especially young girls growing up, possibly feeling whatever which way, is that things do get better and you do come into your own, and all of these experiences are going to shape who you are. And it's really important that instead of being worried or scared about them, that you experience them fully. You'll be better off for it, because I was like, I'm just gonna positive thoughts, and so now I'm paying the price later on in life. So I'm like,
Oh no, feel the pain.
oh, I'm feeling it now. Now I'm like,
enjoy the blues.
Oh yeah.
I just cry it out now. I'm just like, you know what? If I'm going to be sad, I'm going to be sad all the way. I'm not going to stop myself from crying.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No, it doesn't. It's not going to kill you. It's normal, and if you've suppressed it for so long, it's going to feel more intense. But as you start to let it breathe and live and be there and come out, it's going to start to level out. So it's, no, man, crying's like my favorite thing now. I'm like, oh yeah, here it comes.
Feel it, enjoy being sad, I would say.
It's cathartic. Well, this was phenomenal. You and your tiny mini me, who looks exactly like you, is so cute. She's like, yes, correct. It's all about me. It's just so.
He's trying to eat the laptop, and I'm like
trying to eat your hair, the laptop. She's like, isn't this fun? Oh, I loved it. This was so much fun. And I really enjoyed all of your bits of wisdom. And I think you had a lot of really good things to say in regards to life, is that I think, can get hung up on the down of life. But it's nice to talk to someone who experiences the down, but then also experiences the up in a way that balances that down out. I don't know. You seem like the type of person that feels your emotions. You let all of it inspire you. You put it into your work. And I think this conversation shows that you're a very unique spirit. And it was really quite a pleasure speaking with you, because I feel very inspired to go create something when we get off this. I feel very inspired, and I want other people to feel inspired. So where can people find you? And do you have any fun projects coming up that we should be aware of?
People can find me on my website. It's www.sandhyagarg.com. I'll spell my name because it is a little different. It's SANDHYAGARG. There is accent there. So if you want to read the transcript.
That's right. Yeah. Everything will be in the link below. So no worries. Check that out down there. She'll have all of her links there.
And I'm like doing my latest collection. I'm so excited about the new colors, the new print. And it's just, I'm always doing something new. So keep an eye, and everything's posted on social media. I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook. Again, you can find the links below. So if you are interested in seeing what I'm doing next, then you can go look at Instagram or a Facebook page. And yeah, thank you so much for, spending your time with me.
Thank you for spending your time with us. We're so honored. It's one of those shots in the dark where you're like, this person's never going to get back to me. And then sometimes people do. And my mind is so blown. I'm like, oh my gosh, they messaged me back. This is insane. It makes you feel really good. So thank you. By the bottom of my heart and my Project Runway loving soul, I appreciate it.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm just like you. I'm just a, regular person. So I'm honored to, be in this interview too. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And thank you everyone listening. Please go check everything out that this lady does. She kicks some butt, and hopefully she'll make a pinwheel dress that I can actually buy, because that's one of the ones that I wanted when she was on Project Runway. Also, if you're listening, and guys, this episode comes out in July, which means one huge thing. Steph and I have started our newest project, and we are now on YouTube, which is amazing, with our new show, Chit Chats with Cycle Chats, where Steph and I just talk one-on-one, totally unedited conversations about daily life and what inspires us and the things we've learned from the podcast. So please go check that out and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're really excited for this next part of our journey with Cycle Chats. And as always, we hope you sync up with us next time.